Alright, this is Ryan Sholin from Invisible Inkling.
Howdy, how you doing?
Where can we find you on the web?
You can find me on the web at ryansholin.com, reportingon.com, and wiredjournalists.com, not to mention Twitter.
Okay, and the first question, which actually I got through Twitter, was to ask you about Reporting On, just how you see it as a tool to be used by journalists.
You know, I like to call Reporting On the back channel for your beat. The whole idea is that a reporter in a small town, in Poughkeepsie, can talk to a reporter in a small town outside of Bakersfield, California, and it's two people that never would talk to each other otherwise, but they can talk about the stories that they're working on, and maybe it's an education story about test scores, and somebody's written a story about that before. They wrote it last year. They know what kind of sources you should talk to. They know how to look at that data and get some better ideas about it. And it's the kind of thing that nobody in your newsroom is necessarily going to know about. But the guy across the country or across town or 3 states over, they might know the answer to your questions.
All right, here's another question. I'm just going to throw this out of left field, which is, tell me about Google Reader. Because believe it or not, every morning I wake up and I read what you read. So tell me a little bit about how you use Google Reader.
Google Reader is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, obviously you can subscribe to hundreds and hundreds of RSS feeds in it, but you can also hit that little share button, and that's really my favorite part about it these days. I hit that little share button, and there's a link blog that I've got, and credit Robert Scoble with cluing a lot of us into the way that you could be using this, and pushing out links and kind of reblogging stuff without having to write a blog post for every little thing that you see that you like. I see something on Google Reader and I'm interested in it. If I open up your post and I read it, I'll probably share it. If I'm going to click through and comment on it, I'll probably share it. And then obviously everybody who's in my little GChat list and are my little Google friends, they're going to see it. And I fear, I never see the number of items that I share a day, but I fear that it's pretty high. That people are getting a lot of doubles and they're seeing 30 items shared by Ryan. Very sorry about that.
No, it's great. In fact, sometimes I share what you've already shared, so it's probably even more annoying.
And then I see the post that you've shared, and that's another thing Scoble's right about, is Google needs to work on cutting down on the duplicates a little bit.
A little bit. Do you use any other RSS readers, or is Google Reader your main one?
Google Reader is the only RSS reader that I use, but sometimes I don't have time to go through everything, and that means that I get a lot of links from Twitter, for instance. If I'm obsessive enough, I'm probably checking Twitter, and if somebody sends me a link there, if they send me an @ or reply, and they send me a link or a direct message, or I'm just scanning Twitter and I see something interesting in a link, I'm more likely to read that than I am to read everything that's in my Google Reader.
Okay, and solve journalism.
What's that?
Solve journalism.
Solve journalism. Okay, no. Solve it. We'll get
well, no.
it's a puzzle.
It is. And I asked the same question to Mark Glazer, and he sounded actually optimistic. So let me rephrase it. Are you optimistic, or do you feel like it is pessimistic and journalism is just not going to be the way it was?
I'm very optimistic about journalism. Does that mean I'm optimistic about the current news business as we know it? Not necessarily. I think that print is increasingly on the way out in a large part of the country and the world, and that, for instance, newspapers need to really work on getting a business model that works online, and that's a big challenge, a very big challenge that a lot of us deal with every day, and that's really the biggest challenge facing the news business right now in newspapers and local TV, because journalism can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to happen at a news organization. It can happen in your backyard.
All right, last question. What's a cool resource that you want to tell people about?
A cool resource that I want to tell people about.
Not Reporting On, although Reporting On is great. Another one.
I just mentioned something to you about this, so I'll say it. Helpareporterout.com. A guy named Peter Shankman, who's a PR guy, runs this list. It's essentially just an email list, but if you're a reporter working on a story and you need a source, you're on deadline, you go to helpareporterout.com. Go ahead and submit your query, and you might get some good responses. He's pretty vigilant about policing just random PR spam to it. So it's a good resource. I think it's been working for some people lately, including some people I know. So helpareporterout.com.
Okay, thank you very much. Ryan Sholin, Invisible Inkling.